completely demolished. It was completely turned into a nuclear wasteland.
That was an incredible day. I have some great pictures of all of us because
we were
all saying goodbye. Sort of, in a way.
We were saying we were saying goodbye on the set as we walked through those different moments in time. If you go back and remember when people, Chief was walking where he got toasted. And, people were, his shadows were that's me. I was here.
Yeah.
And so, different people were going through the different changes. And so, but we were walking around with each other, looking at each other, saying goodbye. And the Chief was wacko, man.
Oh, yeah.
He was in his room, and he's like, yeah, this is it.
End of season 1.
I didn't see it again. He was here. He had so much fun. But in essence, really, what we take away from this, and this is again the beauty of the audiovisual event, nothing attacks the subconscious mind more. What you place yourself through was the experience. What we did by doing it, living it. In order to act, you have to be. In order to be, you have to understand your moment to moment. So you have to be there in the moment, not, oh, I'm going to do something now. You're inside of it. So when you're doing those scenes, you're in it. And you're living it. And so therefore, you're totally committed to the understanding and the feeling. That's how come, when I did Dexter, I was freaked out. That was the weirdest freaking show I've ever done.
I was freaked out too.
And the only reason I did that show is because I was never there. I was in a refrigerator.
Yeah.
So, and I was never in the show. Okay, I'll do your show then. I'll do all those things because I really am not there. I'm dead. And so, in the case of this, though, we have come to the point of we know very well that things are really not going well. And as much as we want to think we are, the bankers and the corporations of the world are really destroying us to the highest level. And they really don't care. I mean, most of us don't really know that the Federal Reserve, is privately owned. Not owned by the government, it's owned by private bankers. And they control everything. They make our money. And we pay interest to them. That's why they invented the income tax. So that we in turn pay the income of the interest that is loaned to the government, to the people, given to the people, so we can live. And they in turn make the money, they make $1, here you go, we'll charge you, 4%, 3%, 2% interest on that dollar. Please, you owe me now, the Federal Reserve, you owe the Federal Reserve, 2% or 3% on $1 trillion. And now $17 trillion worth of interest, daily, compounded daily, and given to a bunch of bankers. That's driving us to the point of us being able to say, this doesn't work. And so we're very close. If you've seen anything, if you know anything of what I'm talking about, we're very close. 10 years they give for a catastrophe in California? They're dreamers. When the San Andreas Fault slips, and it will slip, we know it will slip. It will make the ground move for 27 minutes. Now, I just want you to go like this. Everybody just go like this. Okay, just like this. Just do that. Just 5 more seconds. Just do that. Imagine doing this for 27 minutes. Just this. Like, It's going to be traveling at 6,000 miles per hour. It's going to travel from Baja California all the way to Vancouver. The San Andreas Fault goes all the way up. Everything that's in, and both sides of California, of the San Andreas Fault are going to get hit. So Arizona's going to get hit, Nevada's going to get hit, Idaho's going to get hit. Washington, the state of Washington will be hit as hard as California, as well as Oregon will be hit as hard as California. There will not be one building left standing. There will not be one road that is capable of to be used. Okay, there will be no water. It'll take over 1 year just to get the electricity to the points where it's needed. That's how radical this catastrophe that is coming is going to be. FEMA, of course, knows this. I mean, we've known this since 2007. I am the spokesperson for earthquake preparedness in California. That's what I'm telling you. So, you know, you brought it up. I'm going to really lay it on you today. Good morning, America. Welcome to Dragon Con, where we fight the bad people. I am the Admiral, and I'm here to tell you, we need to really make sure that the Battlestar Galactica is in tune with what's coming. Prepare yourself. How do you do that? Spiritually, mentally, and physically. So just prepare yourself for that. You know? Be ready to go to California to help. Everybody must go to California and just start digging people out and helping as much as you can. Take things with you that can help people. Just like we did during the riots in 2001, there was 300,000 people that went out into the streets and in 3 days completely destroyed Los Angeles. 6,000 buildings were burned and gutted, you know. 58 people were killed in a little over 48 hours, a little over 2 days. And I walked out with a broom, within 3 days, 300,000 people came from all over California, all over Nevada, all over Arizona. They came from Oregon. They came from all places. They came with brooms sticking out of their windows. And they came, and over 300,000 people cleaned Los Angeles in 3 days. Every single place that was destroyed had been touched by somebody trying to clean it. And it wasn't the city that did it. It was not the government that did it. It was us, the people. And we're going to have to clean up our own mess. That's what we as Battlestar are ready for. You've been through the worst. I mean, you've seen all your relatives dead. You've seen yourself on the Battlestar, but everybody that you knew in your mind was gone. And you were now on the Battlestar. And you were out there, just a few of us. It was 49,001 people. 49,001 people that were on the ships. And that's how we started humanity over. Well, it's not too far away. And I say this with a great amount of respect and admiration for our government, a great understanding of what we stand for, we the people. I really do believe that, but I think that the bankers of this United States of America and the world have destroyed the very essence of who we are as human beings. The value systems have been deteriorated. Wall Street is an abomination. Everybody there wants to do one thing, and that's make lots of money for themselves and their family. And if they screw everybody over, it doesn't matter. And you know, what Monsanto's doing, they should be arrested. You know, but if they're not going to arrest the bankers for embezzlement and all they did in 2008, they're sure not going to arrest anybody. Monsanto's, they're trying to help us. You know, so they're making genetically proven foods that will kill you. If you don't go organic soon, I don't know when you're going to start. Get yourself a NutriBlast, you know, NutriBullet, a little blender thing, you know, extract nutrition and just start using it. It's very, very good, but don't put anything that isn't organic in it. That's my answer.
It's in my room. I'm really good.
I brought him I did too. I have it in my room. I just went to Whole Foods and got $100 worth of vegetables for this morning so I can take a blast. I just never got it.
You're making my job real easy.
Thank you very much.
This side.
Hey, so I'd love to sit down and talk to you about economics and politics sometimes almost. You've got some interesting ideas there, but
I couldn't understand a word you just said. Slow down and say it again.
Remember, we have an echo in here. It's really reverberating, so you have to. I'm not the person to say, but yeah, speak slowly. You're getting a big echo.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd love to talk to you about economics and politics sometimes almost. You have some interesting ideas there. I wanted to ask about the show in terms of current events. I think when the show was going on, there were a lot of undertones to current events at the time. How do you think the show would be different, or the story would be told differently if it was being shot today?
How do you think the story would be told differently were it shot today?
Yes?
Yeah.
I'm not sure it would be told differently.
Would you want it to be told?
No. I mean, listen, we all like to think that, you know, we came up with it, and it's an original idea, and it's the first time we thought of poking each other with bigger stakes. But human beings have been doing this little rigmarole for a really long time. I think the basic human reactions and motivations and state of mind have been the same way since we had sticks to hit each other over the head with. I think the story would be exactly the same.
In regards to the actual filming of the show, it would be much more advanced today than it was.
Oh, technologically.
Yeah, I mean, basically we are advancing very quickly. So I think the show would have a much stronger understanding of itself. And I think that we all bring it. You have to remember, when we did the show, one of the things that was really interesting is that something was invented in 2003 when the show started. And that was talking to one another on the internet, blogging. That was, no, Skype wasn't on yet, but blogging just started to blog one another. And people, the writers had a blog, you know, and so people started to talk with each other about the show immediately when it went out. And I told already, the writers wrote it to this level. It was a very high level. Then the production got it, and we made it real. All the words became reality because we performed them and they had them on screen. And it brought it to a higher level. The same words, all of a sudden, the same script went to a higher level. Then the editors and the post-production crew got it and took it to, you know, Bear got it, and we took it to an incredible level. And then it was shown to the people, it was shown to you, and you in turn started to blog about it. And started to say, well, you know, this is what we think, man, what you guys wrote, and what you're saying in this, it means this and this and this to me. And then the writers would look at each other and go, that's exactly what we meant. That's exactly right, you got it. And they would write from that level. That awareness level, then is where they would begin to write their new, because they go, yeah, those ideas are great. That's exactly what I meant, yes, they got it. You know? Of course they got it. You know, it's like when we put out the Last Supper, the photograph, do you know how much chaos that cost? And you guys were bending it and making it look like a certain way. So, see, you bend it like this, like this. See who it is? That's the fifth one right there. You know?
That's the one that's missing, the one that's supposed to go between Jamie and...
So in essence, yeah, I think that the show would be today at a much higher level of understanding of itself. And especially with what's going on with us right now, and with Syria and everything else. I mean, all that, people just look at the news. Our writers would just be up to date with what humanity was doing to itself right here, and then augmented, I mean, waterboarding, right to choose, right to life, you know, suicide bombings. You know, we were right on time on everything we were doing because it was just happening. They were using it in the show. And it worked. It worked perfectly. We had to deal with it. I can't tell you how many people agree with no killing of babies. When the admiral says, enough, everybody, get pregnant, have babies. Everybody, I don't care who you are, just have babies. Mm-hmm. You know, no child will be killed ever again. And everybody said, oh, wait, that's, you know, we have a right to choose. And that's what Mary was going in Caprica. They have the right to choose, and she's Capricornian. She said, sorry, that child will live. Everybody, go make babies. Rosalind, you and I, let's try.
So I mentioned a bear, I just texted Bear, and Bear just comes back with, tell everyone I said, so say we all. So that's Bear. Couple last two questions, we kind of touched on this, so I'm going to dig a little deeper. After we came back from the writer's strike, I know that the writers kind of had an idea that, you know, we can do what we've been wanting to do for 4 years, because what are they going to do, cancel us? So season 4 got pretty dark, and I know that personally when I would go to my mailbox for 3 years prior to seeing a new script, it's like Christmas, and in season 4 it's like, oh my gosh, because I'm going to read this and I'm going to be different afterwards because it's so dark. Did you experience the same thing? You almost didn't want to read because not only is it dark, but it's one step closer to the end?
Well, I only read that one script.
Well, speaking of which.
There was just that one. I didn't watch the rest of it. Yeah, well, what's the question?
Question is were you fighting the darkness the last season when you had to read these scripts? Was that alone affecting? Each script I would get, it's like I almost didn't want to read it. It was so moving, so dark, so sinister. So
You know, that script that I read really blindsided me because I did not see it coming. Me, you, and everyone. I don't recall.
She read it. There was a few of us that read it, but some of us were told like the day before. You know, what were you told? You don't like? Did they pick? Oh, did they?
Oh, nice for you.
You're lucky. But
I knew when I got that call from Ron Moore's office,
Yeah.
that something was up, so.
I got a call a couple days after. After Mary called. You don't want Mary to call when she's mad. Yeah, no. Yes, darkness, but necessary darkness, and I think darkness that we all saw coming. I mean, it wasn't exactly the most lighthearted show, given the subject matter, and yeah, it threw me for a loop for a little while, and Kandyse McClure got really sad because she wasn't going to be on this amazing show anymore. The actors started thinking about being unemployed again. But when I thought about it, and I saw the way that it was written in such a sympathetic way, that it gave her a real true-to-life experience, this idea of feeling positive and feeling like you've made a positive decision in your life, you've taken control of something, and how liberating that feeling is. That she had these joyful moments that she got to say goodbye and really commune with her friends and her family before she felt like what was going to be relief. I thought it was really well done. And in all the darkness, there is such a striking beauty about it. And I was grateful for that. I think it was a necessary part of the story. I don't think she was the only one. It's a human reaction. And as sad as I was to have to do it and to say goodbye, I'm quite honored by it in a strange way.
there was actually, in an earlier version of that script, there was mention of suicides throughout the fleet, that they kind of got dropped. And
they were afraid of it. They were really. I brought it up the very first year. By the second show, I wanted it to become the number to be decreasing as they put it out there. And you just trying to see what's going on. He said, well, there was 17 more suicides today. Just the people were checking out. And we wanted that throughout the whole show. That's when we did Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down right away. Get some humor.
Yeah,
so
let's get Ty drunk.
Yeah. So we actually shot a comedic version, Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down.
Yeah. So believe it or not, we actually did back off on the darkness from time to time. Yeah. It could have been worse. Over here.
I have a question for Richard. The original series is where we started. Any thoughts or memories of Lauren Green, or the difference in the, I won't call it technology, but special effects between the two series?
I kind of missed that a little bit. What was the end of that question?
The special effects, were there any humorous stories between the two series?
From the original? Were
Yes.
there special effects back then? Oh, sorry. Blame it on my youth.
We actually had John Dykstra who did the special effects for Star Wars. They did those for Battlestar, but I do have to admit that they used some of the same shots over and over and over again. Going different directions, of course. You can reverse it, but we had back projections. What we had, they project, a Starfield, against the screen, and then we'd have a bunch of crew rocking us in the Viper, and sometimes they get a little overzealous and rock us right out of the Viper. We had some little monkeys in these little Daggett suits that would kind of get lost and rebel against their little suits and go screaming around the rafters for a couple of hours. But Beg your pardon? We had 3 little monkeys. We called them monkeys in bondage because they were they were in these little mechanical suits, you know. And we had 3 that would alternate in the like Huey, Dewey, and Louie, you know. We had little monkeys that would kind of take turns in the little suits. But it was, I have to tell you, I talked to Mark Hamill after he did Star Wars, and he'd come up the streets of San Francisco, and I replaced Michael Douglas on that show. And I remember looking at Mark, and we had auditioned for many similar things. And I said, well, what have you been doing, Mark? And he goes, oh, I made this little film called Star Wars. That's what he said, this little film called Star Wars. And it was a little film when they made it. But when they put all those special effects to it, all of a sudden it becomes this big thing that you can't believe, right? And back then, we actors weren't used to that. So, you know, you go do your work, you show up, and you do whatever you're doing, and then, you know, a year later, all of a sudden you go see this movie. And the same thing went for Battlestar. I mean, we're shooting, but you have no idea what they're doing with the special effects and how that's all going to composite together and how that overall final look is going to look. So, I mean, we were as excited to see all that stuff added to it, but it's amazing. I mean, honestly, at least in the first couple of episodes, they put a lot of energy into it. But you know, what I never understand is, here's a successful show, it comes out, we have 65 million people watch the opening episode of that, right? And from day one, they're pulling the budget back. From day one, they're taking money out of all the departments, you know? And so now, every department's having to do with less and less and less, which is why John Dykstra ultimately left. Because, you know, first of all, we're trying to mount a theatrical style series on a weekly basis, which, number one, is a major challenge anyway. It took us 10 to 12 days per episode. 10 to 12 days. People were getting rich in triple overtime just sitting in their truck. I mean, we would sit on the back lot. I had, you know, the mechanical jaws was right outside my motorhome, you know. Every time I walk out the door and have to look at this big mouth ready to eat me. But I mean, we lived on the back lot 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to get this thing done with the technical challenges of that show. But ultimately, like I said, they kept pulling the budget, and then ultimately the shots got more and more duplicated. And, you know, I think it lost a lot of the quality that they did. But I think the opening, you know, stuff that they did was pretty good. And John Dykstra is amazing. I mean, if you've seen all the, you know, Spider-Man movies and all the other stuff that he's still doing, he's one of the most amazing special effects supervisors in the business. Yeah.
Here. First, a quick statement. Admiral Adama, I agree with everything you've said as far as the current events, and it hit home. But as a retired Army paratrooper, I've got a question for all of you. Did y'all have any type of training, any type of advice on what it was and how to act as soldiers? Because I have to say you did a pretty good job of nailing